One of the most powerful principles in life is the principle of small things contributing to massive major things. And we can be able to leverage that principle, especially in these moments where we are on lockdown and where we are on curfews and companies are being shut down, governments are shutting down things all over the place. And you can feel like there is no opportunity for me to do much with the work that I can be able to do with my productivity, especially now that the environment for productivity has changed. You will be wrong. There are some nitty-gritty small things that you can be consistent with in terms of your productivity, and you can be able to really do something worthwhile that you look back and you can even become a culture. You look back and you'll be proud of the thing that you did with them. We are discussing in these episodes what we can be able to do to become productive when we have no job or when we are not in the correct working environment that we are used to. You got to stay tuned to this one.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So you could be at home seated and wondering, what exactly am I going to do different in these moments where there's lockdown? I cannot go out, I cannot work from elsewhere, but I can only work from my home. What can I be able to do to continue becoming productive or even to become more productive than I was initially? That's what I'm discussing in this mini series today, and started the past 2 or 3 episodes. We've been discussing how we can become productive even when the productivity environment has changed, and we've been equating ourselves to those guys who do not have jobs. Those guys who are jobless, normally they stay at home doing probably absolutely nothing. And now we are where they are. We are at home with a big difference. And I've been speaking also to the guys who do not have jobs and telling them that productivity does not necessarily have to be something that you do so that you can get paid. It doesn't necessarily have to translate to money at the end of the month immediately. Money can come in the interim, but you can still be productive. And I've said, and I will keep saying in this podcast, that man was created to be productive. You remove productivity from the equation of the existence of mankind, you've killed mankind. There is no purpose, there's no other bigger reason as to why man will be alive other than to be productive. The command that man was given when man was created was to be fruitful, to multiply, to fill the earth, to subdue it, to have dominion on it, basically to make things happen, to work, to be productive. And people normally think that the word work is a punishment. It is not a punishment. It is a blessing. It is a calling. It is the reason, it is the meaning, it is the purpose for creation. We were created to be able to work, and now coronavirus comes and sends us, all of us, home. And so that we are not working, we are not in our offices anymore. And the question is, what are we going to do so that we can continue being productive? And I answered that question in the past episode, in episode number 296. I answered by saying that there is no way you're going to be productive without an agenda. There's no way you're going to be productive without being intentional about it. And that's exactly what you and I need to do in this day and age, in this period where we're being sent home. We need to force ourselves to have an agenda. You might be asking me, how can I have a weekly agenda? That's what I've been championing, by the way. Weekly agenda. How can I have a weekly agenda? What am I going to be doing? And I said, well, look at your life in terms of your wheel of life, the 8 areas of your life: your relationships, your family, your business, your finances, your lifestyle, your spirit, your physical body, and so on. And look at your life around those and plan yourself around those areas, so that Monday you're doing something physically, and maybe every single day at a particular hour you're doing something to do with your spirit, you're doing something to do with your mind at a particular different hour. Basically have an agenda around those things. Without the agenda, there is absolutely no way that you're going to be productive. It goes without saying. These 60 days or these 30 days or whatever number of days that we have been sent home can be one of the most productive days of our lives, and it can also be, on the flip side, one of the most useless days of our lives. Especially, I normally talk to those guys who are jobless, and I tell them, the moment that you're not on job and you're not employed and you're not being given an appointment letter by somebody, it doesn't mean that that day is a useless day. That day can be diverted to do something else that is actually productive. The only difference is that you're not being paid for it, but you're still being productive. And guess what you're doing? You're sharpening your axe, so that when the time for you to shine comes, when your moment of prominence comes, you are shining. See, you're doing these things in obscurity, and we can use that analogy that all of us probably are in obscurity at this moment in time. It is what we are doing in these moments that is going to count post-corona. People are waiting for corona to pass. Waiting is not the strategy. The strategy that we need to do is to prepare ourselves. In other words, to continue being productive. And in episode number 296, I said that we need to be resourceful. In other words, the environment has been changed. It has been messed up. But what can we be able to do even that environment notwithstanding? That is the answer that we need to have in this day and in this age. And we've been discussing that now that you're going to have an agenda, a weekly agenda, what are some of those paramount things that you need to focus on that you can be doing as activities around that particular week? And yesterday in the podcast we said this, that you cannot afford to have a weekly agenda that lacks your purpose, that lacks your meaning, that lacks your reason for being born. You cannot be planning all over the place, planning for this and planning for that, and you do not have a plan concerning what you're going to do concerning your purpose in life. If you do not have a purpose in life, good. Then plan to know what it is. Put it in the calendar, put it in the agenda of the week. You don't know your purpose because you've not been asking for it. That's what we shared yesterday, and it's absolutely critically important for you and I to do that. Today in the podcast, I'm going to discuss something that is absolutely critical and is actually related to what was shared yesterday. It's related to your purpose. What is the other pillar that you need to put in your weekly agenda? And remember, there is no productivity without intention. So the second thing that you need to plan around, it is this: your presence. Your presence in terms of your brand presence, your personal brand. That's the cliche that very many people normally talk about. Your personal brand, for the most part, it is something to do with what people are saying about you. What is the audience saying about you? When you call yourself a purpose trainer, for example, and the audience sees you as a motivational speaker, there is a huge discrepancy between what you're thinking your personal brand is and what it really is on the ground. And how are you going to bridge that divide? That divide is going to be bridged by you being intentional and packaging yourself around your personal brand. And this is something that you can be able to do in this day and age that we are working from home. In other words, we perceive what value we are going to give, or what value we want to give, or what value we are giving to people, and then we start calling ourselves, branding ourselves, releasing content regarding that particular issue, that particular brand on a daily basis. And we live in a day and age that these things are now easy to do. We're living in social media era, where, by the way, the other day I went to social media and I created an infographic, and this infographic was basically showcasing what I call the 4 phases of a crisis. And I sent it out on social media, and a friend reached out to me from Zimbabwe and tells me that I have seen your graphic in WhatsApp groups in Zimbabwe. What did I do? I was basically releasing my brand. So listen carefully. If you're going to have an agenda for your week, you cannot fail to agenda yourself in terms of your personal brand, in terms of your presence. What do you want people to say about you in terms of what you do, in terms of the value you create, in terms of the influence you make, in terms of the impact you create, in terms of the contribution that you bring on the face of the earth? And all of us have that, and it's, like I said, it's connected to your purpose. So that's why you need to brand yourself in terms of your purpose. You need to find out what your purpose in life is before you can actually form your personal brand. So the world is now a global village. Your online presence is something that you can no longer take for granted. I mean, when every time you go, you are perceived by what you type. You are perceived by the content that you generate out there. There's a friend of mine who is always negative, always bashing the government, and so on and so forth. That is the kind of outlook that this lady is painting out there in the social media pages, and they're seen that way. And by the way, I know them personally. In person, they are very good people. I mean, they believe in scripture, they quote scripture, and so on and so forth. But their attitude is what they're posting. That attitude is what is their personal brand. Their personal brand is not what they think it is, or what they perceive that I know between me and them being friends. No, it is what we perceive of them. Anyway, you need to plan your personal brand online, actively, intentionally, consistently. It is not going to plan itself. Every tweet you send out there is a brand. Every status update you make out there is a brand. Every photo you share, every forward, every message that is unverified and you forward, it is impacting on your personal brand. So you need to sit down and decide, what will I be known for? What will be my contribution? These days your CV is your personal brand online. It's going to come to a level where people are going to be employed by the content, and actually people have lost jobs because of what they tweeted years ago. They go through your Twitter, and it's easy to know, by the way, just searching. They search your name and they search the content against what they're looking for, and they find that you've written something negative about Trump, and maybe whatever it is, and you wanted to work with Trump, and you lose the job. So you've got to be extremely careful about what you're sharing, and you've got to plan your agenda if you're going to be productive. Our productivity, did you know our productivity is going to be connected to our personal brand. Stories abound of talented people who lost their jobs, opportunities to be employed because of what they were posting online. You see, Jesus Christ told us that out of the content of your heart you speak. So you need to speak from the content of who you are, from the content of what value you are giving, from the content of what contribution you're bringing, what impact you're making. Therefore, make sure that you are intentional about what you say, what you portray, what you envisage, what you stand for online, and let it foster your mission. Let it foster your values. Let it foster your greatest ambition in life. At least every single day, post something about what your desire or your contribution, your value add is to people in life. See, there are 3 things about your personal brand. You already have it. What you need to do is to own it And owning it is going to be intentional in terms of what content are you generating, how are you packaging it. See, you already have the brand, but how you're packaging it is what is going to matter. Are you going to plan yourself to package your content, to package your personal presence online? It is very easy for me to talk about purpose, but it's also very instructive for me to package that message, probably in terms of a podcast, probably in terms of an infographic, probably in terms of an article or an audio message or a video message or whatever. And it's good for me to be consistent. So 3 things about your personal brand. You need to know it, and then you need to own it, and then you need to show it. So in your planning, in your weekly planning, how are you owning your brand, and how are you showing your brand, given that we are assuming that you already know it? Plan your productivity in these moments around your personal brand, and it is going to be chip by chip, slow by slow. Every single day, post something positive, influential, inspirational, instructive, value adding about what you care about in life. It could be you care about alligators. It could be you care about education for children. It could be you care about adult literacy. It could be you care about structure. It could be you care about transfer of money, cashless society. Whatever it is that you care about, go out there and brand yourself for it consistently, incessantly. That is how you become productive in these lull days, when the environment for productivity has been changed and has been altered. You will never be the same once you do this. Tomorrow, we're going to discuss yet again something else that you need to do in order to leverage the most, to continue being productive in this era of COVID-19 lockdowns and curfews and so on. Stay tuned. Bye-bye. A special shout out to my mentor, Jeffrey Howard of Visionary Business University, found at mastermindmentor.com, who has graciously provided me with the soundtrack and the introductory track to this podcast. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.